My dear brothers and sisters, today we celebrate one of the biggest solemnities in the church. The Catholic Church, the feast or the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception. And in fact, the Muslims also believe in this solemnity. So they believe that Mary conceived without sin. And in fact, it's just that the theology is different, because for the Muslims, they say that when we are all born, when any child is born, is touched by the devil. And that's why a child cries the moment the child is born, because he's touched by the devil. And according to them, they believe that when Jesus was born, Jesus did not cry. And therefore, Mary was without sin. The child also was untouched by the devil. But they believe in the Immaculate Conception. In fact, there are some of the mosques that are named after Mary, the Immaculate Conception. And unfortunately, some of the denominations, maybe Christian denominations, do not believe in this. Meanwhile, the Muslims, it's a completely different religion, they believe in the Immaculate Conception. Like I say, we all look forward to this solemnity, and everybody knows about the Immaculate Conception. But even me, as a teenager, I knew about the Immaculate Conception, but I did not fully understand what that meant. Because a lot of people I tried to ask around, a lot of people would say the Immaculate Conception means that Mary conceived Jesus in the womb when she had no sin, or that Mary was a virgin when she conceived Jesus. So there's a lot of confusion between the perpetual virginity of Mary and Mary conceiving Jesus without sin, but also the Immaculate Conception, meaning that when Mary was conceived, when Mary was in the womb of her mother, she did not have sin. She was preserved from original sin, which all of us have inherited from the sin of Adam and Eve. And that is why the first reading today talks about that. Now, how does that happen? The second reading today from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians talks about the original plan that God had for each and every one of us. He says that He created us before the world was made. He chose us to become holy and blameless before Him. This was the original plan of God, that we would be in His presence, we would have the experience of eternity in paradise. We would have union with God at all times. But then the devil came in, and he did not want that. He wanted to deprive us of that blessing and that privilege that God wanted to give each and every one of us. And that is when the temptation of Adam and Eve came. And now, because of the fall of Adam and Eve, we all have inherited the sin. It's called the original sin. Because Eve is the mother of all mankind. Remember how the first reading ends. The man named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all those who live. So because of the sin of Adam and Eve, we all have inherited that. And until the Annunciation, we are under this yoke of original sin that is taken away only through baptism. Because when we receive baptism, then the original sin is taken away. But then Eve became the mother of death, because through her, sin and death came into the world. And therefore the prophets, we are prophesying, and this is what all the Old Testament is all about, looking forward to the coming of the Messiah who would save us from all this. The prophet Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, he says that there will be a virgin who will give birth. And the child's name will be called Emmanuel, which Matthew later on quotes in Matthew's Gospel chapter 1, where he says that the child will be called Emmanuel, the name which means God is with us. Now, when the angel appears to Mary, she said to her from the very beginning, Mary, full of grace. When we receive the sacrament of confession, we know that we are in the state of grace. So that means we are without sin. So the angel already pronounced these words to Mary, that Mary was full of grace, meaning that she was conceived without sin. 1,500 years later, Pope Pius IX declared the feast of the Immaculate Conception, and declaring that Mary from the moment of conception was freed through the merits of Jesus from original sin. But then that was confirmed 4 years after, when Our Lady appeared to Bernadette in Lourdes and when Bernadette, innocent as she was, Bernadette was somebody who even was not intelligent in school. She could not pick up anything very well, and she was not very intelligent, and even she had failed in the catechesis to receive Holy Communion. And this innocent, ignorant girl was the one to whom Our Lady revealed when she asked Our Lady, "Who are you?" And Our Lady said, "I am the Immaculate Conception." And that is one of the last kicks that she gave that made the people and the church to believe that truly she had had an experience of seeing Mary in an apparition, because she pronounced these words, Immaculate Conception, that was not really full acceptance by the church at the time. And that is why the church declared already that Bernadette was a saint, and that her apparitions, the apparitions of Mary to her, were true. So, my dear brothers and sisters, the angel declared to Mary and said, "You are full of grace," because Jesus, who was to come to save us from that sin that we had inherited, had to be received in the womb that was pure, because God is pure. And when Mary said yes to the angel, when she said in Luke's Gospel chapter 1 verse 38, "I am the handmaid of the Lord, let it be done to me as you have said," it reversed the disobedience of Eve. Eve, who was the mother of all those who lived, Mary became the mother of a new creation, of a new people of God, through her yes to the angel. The disobedience of Eve was reversed by the obedience of Mary. And that is why Mary became known in the church as the new Eve. The Eve who has said yes to God. The Eve who has not been disobedient to God, but has accepted the will of God. And she was prepared from the very beginning through being deprived of this, not deprived, but she did not have original sin, in order preparing her to be the mother of Jesus, the mother of God. And this is what we celebrate today, my dear brothers and sisters. And it's important for us because this became the new life for us. Because Mary, when she said, "I am the handmaid of the Lord," changed our course of history. Instead of being under the yoke of sin and being under the yoke of death, we became under the yoke of Jesus himself, the yoke of life. And today we celebrate her because she changed our history through her acceptance of God's will. Let us therefore continue to ask her maternal intercession, she who is the mother of all creation, who is the mother of a new people of God, that we may accept also, that we may learn, we may get the grace to be able to say yes to God at all times.